What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the gray area. It's been quite a hiatus, but my channel is new, so I'm sure nobody missed it that quick. But I do have a goal to stay consistent. I was gone for excuses, so we're not even gonna get into excuses. But I want to consistently get back to posting at least twice a week when I'm out here at the park, because I'm out here at the park at least twice a week, anyways. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the topic today. Lately, I've been having several, I guess you could say, dating, um, even though I had made a boundary to be friends with people and not worry about dating, but I'm getting back into that too. You know, this is just the time of recommitting to all the things that I wanted to commit to this channel, and also honoring myself and honoring my boundaries. Um, Having boundaries, it's one thing to have boundaries for other people, that like if someone treats you a certain way, okay, you're going to remove yourself, or like, like outside of your boundary. But honoring your own boundaries, I don't feel like that one is necessarily talked about as often. Like when you have something that you just want to do for yourself, it's easy to kind of be like, oh, I need to start doing this. Oh, I need to start doing this. And actually make it a boundary that you're going to treat yourself a certain way, or you're going to be honest with yourself. If you say something, that you're going to act upon that thing you said and follow through, versus like doing something like I did, saying I'm leading with friendship and I'm not dating, and then proceed to date two more people and have to learn the lesson the hard way. Oh, I should have maintained my boundary, and this is what happens because I didn't maintain my boundary. So that is one kind of side topic. Sorry, this video might be all over the place because it's been a minute, but this is kind of for me today. And then the other thing about the honoring yourself, honoring your boundaries. Um, I will say, well, where we'll get into the gray area is, do you need to actively remove, speaking of boundaries, do you need to actively remove people from your life that are crossing or not great with your boundaries? Or do you just continue to give grace and love and trust that they will either be removed or remove themselves, um, without you needing to actively remove them? Which I never would have thought that would have been a topic until this recent couple of situations, because I feel like my desire, maybe this is just for me personally, but my desire to remove people from my life was kind of like a, oh, you hurt me, I want you out of my life. Or, oh, I feel a type of way, you made me feel a type of way. Like valid things, like either they were not valuing me correctly, or like, or being judgmental, or not being, not coming from their heart, not coming from a place of love, but just kind of like trying to kind of like downing me. Or just like we had a mismatch of like values, or we had a mismatch of like belief systems and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you don't deserve access to me. And after thinking about it, I was like, that's kind of an arrogant way. Like, oh, people don't deserve access to me because, like, I can see that side of things, and I feel like there are people that give way too much access to themselves, and not everybody deserves to have access if they're not gonna, treat it with appropriate respect. But I also think there's room for love, compassion, and forgiveness, empathy, grace. All those are beautiful, wonderful things. And I feel like one of the things I notice that I think it's like, it's where you're coming from. Because I noticed that for me and some of the more recent situations, I started off coming from that place of like, oh, this person doesn't deserve access to me because of this and that and blah, blah, blah. But when I thought about it, I was like, oh, well, because this person maybe is not at the level in their journey that I'm at, for example. But then when I thought of it, it's like, why would I expect everybody to be exactly at the same point in their journey that I am? Like, why would I expect people to have the level of, like, I don't know, um, empathy, self development, blah, blah, blah. Like, everybody's in different places. There's people that are way ahead of me, there's people that are, like, not quite where I'm at yet. And that's okay. There is no, I don't think that there's like better people are like better than just because they're at different places in their journey. Um, and I feel like it's kind of silly to expect everyone to be like yes, you want to find people that are compatible with where you're at in your journey, but having that expectation, I feel like, is not the way to go. So I was like, you know what, let me just give grace and let me just try coming from my heart with empathy for everyone, regardless of where they're at in their journey, because I know that's what I would want. Because one of the situations, funny enough, it's like two back to back. One of the situations was someone that was like ahead of me in a lot of areas, and but because they were ahead of me, I could feel like kind of the almost like kind of condescension and the kind of like, oh, you don't know you don't know this, you don't know this, and you're doing this and this. And I felt like it was like, no matter, because I do actively go, and like if I learn something new, I will actively go and work on it and improve it for next time. And like we'll have a conversation, I'll be like, oh, I understand what you're saying, thank you for showing that to me, or thank you for sharing that. So, but it was like nothing was ever enough for this person. And they ended up deciding that we shouldn't continue the friendship or whatever, dating, because I was not in a place that was compatible with where they prefer. And I was like, man, like, this person just told me I'm not good enough. Like, no, that's not what they did. I was like, that's my feelings. That's not what they were doing. But it is like a sucky feeling to feel like, oh, someone is just like kind of rejecting you because you're not exactly where they think you should be. And even though like I know I'm still a great person, like of course I know I'm not perfect and I need to work on things, but I also know what I have to offer and what I bring to a relationship. Um like as just a person that loves and values myself and like knows my worth, but also as a person that knows that I am willing to take feedback and improve on myself. So I for sure would never like turn me down, but I'm not everybody. But that was a beautiful experience for me because moving forward, the next person that I came across was like the opposite. And I felt like I was meant to, that's why I say there's kind of, I feel like there is an area in here where don't disregard your boundaries, but sorry, I'm like pointing right at the camera. Don't disregard your boundaries, but also like have that grace for yourself, like, oh well, you're just gonna learn the lesson anyway. Because then the next person came along, and I should have just been friends with this person too to begin with, but they were not where I felt they should be, and I was getting real judgmental. Like after we had like our first kind of argument, I was getting so judgmental and like so offended and like, what the hell? Like I don't think I can. I don't know about this person. Like I don't know if this is some like red flags, red flags, red flags. And then I was like, wait a minute. After I talked about it like with my coach and looked like really, I've been listening to a lot of Wayne Dyer recently. If you don't know Wayne Dyer, definitely worth looking into. But anyways, I was starting to see that I was doing the same thing to this person that the first person was doing to me, where I was like, I was expecting them to like automatically understand and be aware of all these things just because I am aware of all these things. And I was just judging instead of having grace and empathy that like they're a human being experiencing life just the same as me, and but they're going to be experiencing it in different places. Like we're not having the exact same timeline. Um so after listening to several podcasts on the matter and like coming from the heart, which I'm always trying to come more from my heart than from my head, and I feel like that is the best way in my opinion to live life. Come from your heart, more than from your head. So I was like, let me approach this person with love and compassion and grace. And so I did. And I felt like, oh, that felt so much better to just appreciate them as a like for the beautiful things that they did have, and not to be judging them for the things that, you know, I'm sure that they'll learn with time. But it's like I don't have to focus on those things. I can focus on what we do share and what we do have in common. And lo and behold, after I learned that lesson, we were still not compatible, unfortunately. But you know what? They removed themselves because they felt uncomfortable. And of course, I contributed to it because like our energies were just like very different. But I didn't contribute to it in the sense that I was before, where I was judging and looking down on them. I didn't contribute in that way. I was just like being myself, and I was like, oh, okay. We're not compatible, and it's okay, and it's whatever. We can just move on from here. Um, well, they felt like we're incompatible, and we could just move on from here. And I agreed. So I feel like sometimes you don't have to necessarily focus on enforcing boundaries as far as removing yourself. I feel like just being like, you can operate out of love and from your heart, and people will kind of take themselves in or out depending on where they're at, like if they resonate with you and what you're doing. So, food for thought. These are just kind of some preliminary thoughts, but let me know in the comments what you think about this gray area on do I need to actively drop people for my boundaries, or just let the universe do its thing? All right. Thank you all so much. I'll be back recording again, I promise, regularly, for anybody that's actually paying attention. Bye.